The pandemic may be over, but its ramifications are still being felt. Anybody who's followed the podcast religiously this year knows that our touring, the Reduced Shakespeare Company touring dates, are much fewer than they have been in the past. We have a bigger 27 beginning to be lined up, which is exciting. But the Michigan Shakespeare Festival had to postpone its season or two, but it now looks as if, fingers crossed, the Michigan Shakespeare Festival has returned, and the producing artistic director of MSF, Jan Blixt, is here to tell me about how short are your fingernails getting from clutching onto the cliffs of full-time closure.
It's intense. It is intense. I admit that. Right now we're kind of doing this happy dance because we go into previews this week. It
Oh,
feels like we got this far. Ah!
yeah.
But yeah, it's been rough. Pandemic, of course, punched everybody in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And shut down companies left, right, and backwards. We were able to come back in 23 and 24, but we had to come back solely in a different venue than had been our original because during pandemic there had been a fire in the lobby of that structure and they hadn't been able to do all of the rehab yet. So suddenly we were existing in 23 and 24 solely in this other venue, and whereas they were charming and wonderful, this is in Canton, Michigan, they were delightful Cherry Hill people. We love them so much. It was a municipal building. The town owned it. And us being there all summer meant that all of the things that the town usually has couldn't be in there. And so they were like, hey, could you shorten it? And we sort of did I don't know how we're going to move forward. And then what happened to us is that Wayne State University, who had just built this ridiculously lovely $65 million theater center, during COVID.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And Fly Loft, it's so comfortable. It's got two spaces. It's wonderful. They contacted me and said, hey, we're dark in the summer. Would you consider being in residence here?
Mm.
And I
Okay.
said, heck yeah, that's amazing. So the plan was for last year for us to go into residency there. And again, after COVID, audiences are down. Then in 23, 24, we got through it, but now we're changing venues again. And ticket sales were down 10%. Not I keep telling people it wasn't like an asteroid, hit and killed all the dinosaurs or something. It was death by 1,000 cuts. It was, ticket sales were down just a little bit. And then everyone will tell you that business donations and sponsorships way down since COVID. So that was down. And then the 1-2 punch of the National Endowment for the Arts cuts and National Endowment for the Humanities cuts. Suddenly all of our producing partners who receive funding from all of these different places, that's down 15%, that's down 20%. And we literally just hit a point where we can't make this. We can't make this work, And so it was a last minute cancellation. It was awful. It was really upsetting, but, we refunded all the ticket sales and we, sent back all of the specific donations and that. And we honestly thought, well, maybe we're going to be done now. And then a whole bunch of people, individual people, started contacting the festival and going, I've been going to this for 25 years. I have been seeing you since your first year, 30 years ago. What can I do?
Yeah.
And so bit by bit, we started okay, we're coming back. So we got a bunch of lovely new board members. We're still, by the way, looking for board members, especially now that we're in Detroit. Getting, Detroit more connected is absolutely what we want to do. But getting new board members, getting new sponsors. We got McClure's Pickles, which is really exciting. We have an official pickle sponsor, and I'm absolutely thrilled.
The official
And
pickle
so
of Michigan Shakespeare Festival.
And if you think that I was above putting a McClure pickle stamp on the side of that barrel that we're drowning Clarence in, you don't know me, because I was perfectly willing to do it. But yeah, we've got just terrific sponsors and people, and so it's hard. And yes, the fingernails, and I've been hanging on by a thread, and we're going into previews this week. And I was telling you before we got on the air that I feel like a who in Whoville. We're here, we're producing, we're back. we're here, and just trying to get attention, and that's what we're doing. But we're doing it. We're doing it.
Well, and we're talking on a Monday, which, as you reminded me, is your equity day off. So you're a
It is my day
fully
off.
equity company, a fully professional equity company, right?
Yeah, we have 13 equity contracts out of 18 actors. We are living wage for everybody. I mean, we one of our goals is to not exploit anybody. And I know that sounds like a kind of low bar to hit, but live theater.
Yeah.
Mm. And
No,
especially
I
since
know.
COVID.
I mean, I grew up in the unpaid intern world of the 1980s, and that's a financial model that just can't operate anymore. I mean, you're only getting the people who can afford to go away for the summer and work for free. These
Exactly.
are the kinds of actors and artists that you get, and you're not getting the full the full breadth of the kind of artistry that you can get.
Right, and we this year we're in Detroit. We have so many local Detroiters, which is great. Back when we were, half the state away in the middle of the state, there were just a lot of people that didn't want to make the drive. Or even if we could offer housing, we're like, I don't want to live in nowhere and be away from my agent, my family, my everything else. The commercial
Right.
work that might come up. So now
Sure.
we're in Detroit. We've got a lot of just amazing Detroit talent. Our Richard III, I am so happy, is doing this. Rico Bruce Wade, he was a Second City Detroit guy,
Oh,
and
amazing.
he's a comedian and he's an actor, and he's worked with us a bunch of times. And I called him and said, "Hey, I'd like you to play Richard III." And I'm not kidding, this was his response. Just silence for a while, and then, "That's crazy. That's crazy." And I was like, "No, it's going to be great." And but every once in a while, he just, even in rehearsal, I'll give him a note and he'll just turn to me and, "That's crazy. Great."
I've
He's
often
terrific.
we know that Richard Burbage probably played Richard III originally, but I love the idea that Will Kemp, Shakespeare's clown in those early days, gave Burbage a lot of notes and had a lot of thoughts about how the comedy of Richard can be brought out.
Because he's funny. I mean,
Yeah,
it's dark funny. I mean, we're also doing Much Ado. That's happy funny. This is very dark funny. But um, if you try to not play the funny, personally, I think it flattens out the show. Act one is really, I'm a bad guy doing bad things, and you're gonna love it.
yeah.
And we do. It's delightful. We've been referring to it as medieval Tarantino because we're having a lot of fun with our blood effects. We're killing everybody on stage. We're just having a really good time with all that stuff. And then, of course, in Act Two, after he's done like the worst of the worst, the audience, my hope is, turns against him, and we go into the Battle of Bosworth, which is, of course, a giant 5-minute fight sequence because I am, in fact, married to a fight director.
Yes, you are.
So I am. So we've got the broadswords, and we've got the axes, and we've got the spears, and we've got everyone in the company, no matter what they're playing, is coming in that battle. It's so much fun.
Well, and if you're doing Shakespeare, you have to. Why would you do Shakespeare if you're not leaning into the blood, leaning into the dramatic dark comedy, leaning into the battle scenes, and pairing it with Much Ado About Nothing? Richard Burbage also probably played Benedict, another funny role that came along later, and as oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name now. The great the great Shakespearean scholar.
Which one?
Oh, the living one, the one who's alive.
Harold
Um,
Bloom?
no, the one who's
No, he
the
died.
nice one, the one who's the nice
The
one who's
nice
alive. Not Harold Bloom.
I'm pretty sure there are a few. All right, but what
I'm
did
this
he say?
close.
We're
I'm
both
this
having
close.
that, like, we should know the answer kind of moment. So, hey, let's just go with what he said.
But anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is, it was explained to me that none of Richard Burbage's roles ever sing. And the only time he does sing is when he's playing Benedict, and he's making fun of the fact that he
And he says he
can't
can't
sing.
sing.
And
Yeah.
that's Shakespeare knowing he's writing for an actor who can't sing, and he's going to make him admit that he can't sing on stage in front of people.
I love that. Well, our Benedict, I think people who have been to the festival for years, they're going to freaking love this because it is Rob Kozlerick, who has been a director with us often, but he also has played our Richard II, and he's played Brutus in Caesar. You know, he's he is one of those actors that you can throw the difficult stuff at him, like the Archbishop in Henry V, and he manages to create a wonderful, fun, like, talking you through that ridiculous history of primogeniture and everything. And so I went to him and said, hey, here's the thing. I would love to get you and Elise, his wife, who has been our accent and dialect coach for the past 15 years. And she's amazing at that. They're acting this summer, and they're playing Beatrice and Benedict. And they have never been romantically cast opposite each other before.
Wow.
I know, and it is just this fun, wonderful, like, if you have been to the festival in the past, you are going to love seeing Rob in this role because it's so much fun. We're doing, because since this is our first time in Detroit, I wanted to, best foot forward. Usually I do a really well-known show, a Richard III, but I'm going to pair it with something like Cymbeline or, something that people aren't as knowledgeable about. But this is our first year in Detroit, so I went Richard III and Much Ado. And the Much Ado that we're doing right now, I mean, Jane Austen is the everything, and if this is the romantic comedy, we're setting it, it's Regency, it's pretty, it's, out in the English country garden. If you're into Bridgerton, it's not, we don't have the nudity, but we have everything else. And it's,
As long
it's
as we
just
have heaving bosoms from
we
both
have
sexes, we'll be
confusing
fine.
bosoms from both genders going. It's amazing. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. And the two in opposition to one another is so much fun because, for instance, Benedict Rob is also Buckingham. And Richard III is Leonardo. And, you see the crossover of all of these guys. So
I love that. I mean, as you say, you're putting your best foot forward, but it sounds as if you're putting veterans of Michigan. You're bringing veterans of MSF, but also some newbies, some new young blood that have not been seen on these stages as well.
I am absolutely thrilled. Our Elizabeth in Richard III, that I don't get why. Margaret's a great role, don't get me wrong. And Elise, who is Rob Swat, is playing Margaret, and she's amazing. But the real antagonist for Richard in that show is Elizabeth. And we have Janae LaShawn, who is a local artist and arts entrepreneur and cultural, just great voice for theater and for culture in Detroit. She is playing Elizabeth, and she is killing it. It is amazing. In that final confrontation between the two of them, and he is trying to convince her, and she is just throwing it in his face. It's glorious. It's lovely. And then she's Ursula in Much Ado, and she's hilarious.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, great. Fun. Very fun.
Right.
What
So
a
we
fun
have
double.
a lot of that. Janae's terrific. We have some people. If you're a Detroit Public fan and you just saw King James, one of the kids in King James is in our shows, and he is one of the leads in Beau Stratagem, and then he is Dorset, and then he is Balthazar. So everybody has this great kind of track, this craziness. Hastings is Dogberry. And
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. That's really fun.
It's a really fun crossover.
I'm jealous because everybody assumes I've done all the Shakespeare plays. Well, I've only done them in reduced forms. Like I've always played the bigger showier parts, but like I've never played a Buckingham, an Exeter, and that would be fun for me. So I'm jealous.
They are
You
fun.
mentioned
Buckingham Act 3, he's the one who gets Richard on the throne. I mean, he does
Yeah.
all
Oh
of
yeah.
those machinations.
And then of course is turned upon by the
Exactly. And
king
again, we
he
get to kill him on
enabled.
stage, which is so much fun.
Do you mention Beau Stratagem? Was there ever, so you do not just Shakespeare, was
We
there ever
always do
an
a third show.
idea? Was there ever an idea that maybe we'll come back, but we won't do as much Shakespeare? We'll do something more popular in the public mind.
Well, we've always done a third show, and we try and make the third show something that sort of rounds out the season. Like if we feel like, okay, we've got a tragedy and then we've got a comedy, but that comedy isn't ha-ha comedy, we try and make sure that that third show is the importance of being earnest. Or we did A Flea in Her Ear, a brand new adaptation that I did of Feydeau. And we've done Moliere, and we're looking at a Lope de Vega for a couple of years. We're trying to hit all of those classical playwrights who aren't Shakespeare. We decided on Beau's Stratagem this year because we wanted something, knowing that we were kind of going Regency with Midsummer or with Much Ado, and going medieval. We wanted something a little swashbuckly, a little like. So this is set in 1707 and out in the country, and Rob Kazlyrik, Benedict, and Buckingham adapted and is directing it. And one of the things about Beau's Stratagem is, again, there's a lot of stuff in it that for a modern audience is very uncomfortable. There's a little bit of, hey, sexual assault is like kind of funny comedy haha moment. And we're very, very conscious at MSF of trying to remove the sexism, racism, misogyny, all of those things that are really prevalent in classical theater. I mean, unless they're the point of the show, because there are, you've got your Othellos and everything. But if these things are in there and are just there for funny haha value and it doesn't get you anything, we are really big on adapting it so a modern sensibility gets why the show is enjoyable and good and doesn't have to be bumping up on all of the awkward. So our Beau Stratagem is hilarious and it's lovely, and I think everyone will love what happens to Kate Sullen as opposed to what happens in the original text.
Right.
So, spoilers, don't want to do spoilers. But, yeah, we always do that third show. Now, you say, have we considered doing something that's a little more popular? I would love to talk to you again in, like, June or August, or July or August, when we've announced next season.
Let's talk then, shall we?
Okay. That'd be great.
This podcast is a production of the Reduced Shakespeare Company, reducing expectations since 1981. Go to reducedshakespeare.com for performance dates, actor bios, email newsletters, and so much less.